la bestialidad imperialista. Bestialidad que no tiene una frontera determinada ni pertenece a un país determinado. Bestias fueron las hordas hitleristas, como bestias son los norteamericanos hoy, como bestias son los paracaidistas belgas, como bestias fueron los imperialistas franceses en Argelia. Porque es la naturaleza del imperialismo la que bestializa a los hombres, la que la convierte en fieras sedientas de sangre que están dispuestas a degollar, a asesinar, a destruir hasta la última imagen de un revolucionario, de un partidario de un régimen que haya caído bajo su bota o que luche por su libertad. Y la estatua que recuerda a Lumumba, hoy destruida pero mañana reconstruida, nos recuerda también en la historia trágica de ese mártir de la revolución del mundo, que no se puede confiar en el imperialismo, pero ni tantito así, nada.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the 1804. I have not posted in a while. During this time, there's been a lot of developments that happened in Haiti. So I'll just recap some of the important points and then I'll get back to what I was going to cover today. So I'll get to it here. So essentially over the last 2 years, there's been escalation of gang violence. So back in 2013, criminal groups intensified their activities, which led to increased killings, kidnappings, sexual violence. In the UN even reported there was about 4,700 homicides in 23, which is a 119% increase over the previous year. And even in that same year, kidnappings rose by 83%. Also during this time, there was Ariel Henry had stepped down as of March 11th, 2024, after pressure from both domestic and international actors, so political gangs and political actors within in Haiti, as well as the international community. So essentially, this led to the Transitional Presidential Council that established back in April 12th, 2024. And essentially, if you don't know this, and if I didn't cover this back then, they were essentially just tasked with restoring order and preparing for elections. And also in June 2024, multinational security mission led by Kenyan police officers, which part of the story I'll be covering is on that as well. Police officers are deployed to assist Haitian authorities in combating gang violence. But as you know, in the past, I had covered that this is a job that was originally the U.S. wanted Canada to lead, and then Canada went to the Caribbean countries, asked them to lead, but they eventually fell short of that, and it ended up being the Kenyan country of Kenya that was leading this multinational force. Those are essentially the main things the big things that have happened in Haiti over the past, I'd say 2 years. Right now, we have Fritz Jean at the interim prime minister for Haiti. These are the main events, so I'll get into it here. This was March 31st, so a little over a week ago, but gang strike in Haiti's heartland as hundreds flee under heavy gunfire. And I'll get to it here. Local media report that gang members released dozens of inmates in a large scale of attacks, targeting parts of Mirebalais, just 30 miles or 48 kilometers northeast of capital Port-au-Prince. And just so you guys have an idea, if you don't know, give me 1 sec here. I don't believe you guys can even see my screen. There we go. All right. So again, just so you guys know, Mirebalais here. So this is Port-au-Prince, the main capital right here. Then Mirebalais, just a bit outside of the capital right here. So this is where there was attacks and many inmates were released, just to give you an idea of where exactly that is. and I'll get back to it here. And in a video posted on social media, a man is seen hoisting an automatic rifle as people around him yelling, "We broke out the prisoners." Soon after, they began chanting, "They can't stop us." At least 530 prisoners escaped, according to Arnel Remy, an attorney and general coordinator for Haiti's collective of lawyers for the defense of human rights. So one thing I want to cover here, so we'll get into, as I go down the article, it'll essentially show what gangs were involved in doing this. But there's been examples in the past where we've seen that we've essentially seen gangs release prisoners or armed groups release prisoners. And I can give you some examples here. One of them also, well, it was in Haiti back in last year and even 2021, thousands of prisoners were freed during attacks on Haitian prisons, especially in Port-au-Prince. So also in Iraq as well, like this was post-invasion, U.S. invasion, like 2003, after like post, so 2003, like way after, but mass prison breaks from facilities like Abu Ghraib and Taji. Even so, in 2013, Al-Qaeda launched coordinated assaults on major prisons, and it was the same thing. Over 500 inmates were released. In terms of motivation, you can think of it as well. Like the group had support from disgruntled Sunni tribal leaders and foreign Ba'athists, some of more powerful figures in their region. So in terms of different motivations, it could be swelling of the ranks or freeing commanders or fighters. They did the same thing in Colombia. Pablo Escobar's armed group, mainly to avoid extradition, protecting his organization. And even Libya post Gaddafi, again, maintained, it was the same type of idea, but shifting power dynamics, strengthening armed groups, and political leverage. So in terms of the gangs' motivation to do so, these would be it. Some of them also have ties. They might have former gang members that have been in prison but haven't gone through the judiciary process to get charged. Well, not necessarily charged, but finally gets convicted of the crime officially. So this is not the first time it's happened in Haiti, but also even across the world, this usually does happen. And some of these gangs do have their own motivations. So I'll get down to it here. Jean reported that at least 2 civilians who were part of the vigilant group were injured and the several suspects' gang members were killed. Mirebalais emptied out, he said, adding that the people fled to a nearby town as gangs burnt homes, cars, and buildings. Okay? Jean said that for the past 3 months, the people of Mirebalais have asked authorities to deploy more police because they heard rumors of an imminent attack. He said he suspects gang members wore red T-shirts emblazoned with the names Taliban and Maozo in the back. So if you guys don't remember, around sometime last year, a bit before or a bit after, I won't say a bit before Ariel stepped down, there was a G9 revolution unison gang led by Jimmy Cherizier, but then there was another coalition called Vivre Ensemble, which essentially included the Maozo and the Taliban gang as a coalition, as well as other gangs in other neighborhoods, since the main purpose was they all had the common enemy, which was fighting the oligarchs, the powerful people, and the international community. So they all stood together on that front. However, these actions, although they're under coalition, safe to question, like, what were obviously, we can't assume that Jimmy Cherizier or other leaders or other gangs have a say or have influence of actions of other gang leaders. For example, Lamou Sanjou, which is the gang leader of Katsa Maozo, if he were to lead these attacks, I'm assuming he's not taking orders from Jimmy Cherizier. So they might be under, it's a question I'm trying to ask myself too, like, they're under a coalition. However, based on this article here, seems like they're still acting under the guise that they're not really for a revolution, but more causing instability and issues by burning homes and getting people displaced out of Mirebalais. So, and this again, another example that in the past, right, begs to ask the question, are these gangs still funded by their oligarchs, businessmen, or are they funded by their own ways of running drugs through Haiti and Dominican Republic to the U.S. border? So these are questions we need to ask as well, because they're under a coalition with Jimmy Cherizier, and from my understanding, from what I've seen over to him, I don't think he's of that nature. I think from his case, the media, mainstream media, and people outside or against him are painting him as a gang member, as someone that's causing instability, where I see him as a revolutionary in Haiti while protecting neighborhoods and fighting against the oligarchs itself. So if you're going to put yourself in a coalition with Katamaozo and the Taliban, yet they're doing these actions, it's either someone's lying saying they're revolutionaries, they're not, which I highly doubt that Jimmy Cherizier is lying. The other case would be, well, they're acting upon, although they're with a coalition, they're acting on their own, they're essentially acting on their own interest. Or is it also the fact that they might be as well funded still by these oligarchs as well? And these are examples, and I can show you an example here in the past. Like in terms of oligarchs using armed groups, it's not like, if you've been watching the channel in the past, it's nothing uncommon. It's happened in Colombia, like even, again, I mentioned Pablo Escobar did the same thing, used armed groups essentially to protect drug routes, eliminate rivals, and fight leftist guerrillas like the FARC. Even in the Philippines, the Amputua clan, it was the same thing. They used armed group to intimidate political rivals. And it's essentially to that all these actions cause instability in those regions as well. Same thing in Libya post Gaddafi. You got oligarchs basically using armed militias to maintain influence over oil fields and cities. So this is nothing uncommon. And just to add to that as well, in terms for displacing people, and we've seen this in the past, like a lot of people in Haiti are getting displaced from their homes, even in the what you'd so-called, for Haiti standards, the safe neighborhoods. Or you got people getting displaced. Like there's armed groups in suburbs of Kenscroft where gangs were essentially going through homes, burning them, and getting people displaced. Croix des Bouquets, which was one of the big ones last year, a lot of people in Croix des Bouquets were displaced from their homes and had to move somewhere else. So begs the question, are these people maybe funded by oligarchs that have vested interest into having people displaced? And then again, this is not something uncommon. There are examples of this in the past, and I'll give them to you here. So like one reason you'd want maybe people to get displaced, it clears up the way for seizing valuable land, real estate, natural resources. So just again, Colombia, they had paramilitaries displace rural population to let elites and corporations take over land for agriculture or mining. Something similar to this happened in Haiti back in I want to say a little after 2010. You had a bunch of gangs taking over farmland, displacing farmers, and essentially now you had oligarchs taking over oligarchs and corporations that had now taken over farmland in the region. You can even have another reason is for urban development as well. You've noticed that even when the whole talk about the Gaza Strip and the U.S.'s position, when Trump was talking about how potentially moving the Gazans to Egypt, but then the White House posted not an ad, but a tweet or an X post showing with the potential of Gaza's real estate. So having U.S. hotels, hotels, Airbnb, you had people walking on beaches. This video was AI generated, but essentially on the Israel front, although the issue is deep, well, not the issue, it's clear that it's a genocide going on, but the issue is much deeper than real estate. That is a goal too, once they eventually, if they want to have all the Gazans out, definitely they see this as a opportunity to make money and create real estate across the strip. Because at the end of the day too, I'm not a big real estate person, but the Gaza Strip's facing the ocean or the water. So I'm assuming same thing with houses in Miami or even on the edge of Vancouver, California, it is going to be worth a lot and going to be, in my capitalist view, a nice view from their standpoint is what I'm saying. So that is the two reasons you'd want potentially to displace people out of their place, and also to grab land. And another thing too, which we won't talk about, like the voter turnout in Haiti is very low for their elections. So another reason too to do this is manipulate elections. Removing hostile voting blocks can sway elections. Gangs, militias, they create enough instability that people flee or can't vote. This is something that's well recorded in Haiti as well. So I'll get back to the article here. Both gangs are part of a coalition known as Vivre Ensemble, which formed September 2023 and was blamed for large-scale attacks last year that eventually forced Ariel Henry to resign as prime minister. The coalition also has been accused of launching continuous attacks in Port-au-Prince. And then again, this is coming from an AP, so when I certain things I have to look into, and I won't take it at face value because they can in the past I've seen it too, they misconstrue who's a gang, whose position is on the good side of things. Nor I don't think they care to do their due diligence in that as well. So I won't take that at face value. So we'll see what this means, guys. Let me know what you think about this. Do you think that these gangs may be acting on their own actions, or are they probably still funded by certain oligarchs with certain interests? Let me know in the comments below, guys, and thank you for watching or tuning in if you're still here, and have a great day. Take care.